Thanks for coming again, David.
Cool.
Appreciate
Great
it.
to have me. Although your family's here, this is a little daunting. I mean, I have to try to be
Tanya,
more
my oldest,
interesting.
is still here. I think everybody else cleared out for the pool.
Okay.
So, but Warner Brothers has had this very deliberate movement up the rankings of the top 25 public game companies, as calculated by Newzoo. Warner wasn't even in the top 25 game companies in 2011. In 2014, you were at number 11, and in 2015 at number 9. And so that forward trajectory is very rare and impressive. Warner also shares some details about the interactive entertainment division's performance. In 2015, revenues were $1.5 billion. Now, who knew that out there, right? It's not widely publicized, I guess, right? You do report it. The company's targeting $1 billion in revenue on an annual basis, and NPD says Warner's number 3 in the U.S. and Europe now. So can you talk about how you got to this point?
Well, we've been in the entertainment business broadly for almost a century, been in films for almost 100 years, television for over 60 years, and about a decade ago, we really focused on games being that third production arm of the company. We liked the long-term prospects of the interactive entertainment space and thought that we had skills and assets that would sort of work well. The real foundation of it was a series of, I think, very smart acquisitions that brought us some of the best creative talent in the business. So we've done 5 acquisitions of studios that we've added to our portfolio. And with that, we also got great franchises. And they're not movie franchises, they're not television franchises, they're really game franchises. So Mortal Kombat from the NetherRealm Studios, and Rocksteady is a studio, and the Arkham series that they created, as you mentioned, Monolith and Shadow of Mordor. So that's really been the foundation, and we've built on that over time. And I think we have focused on being creator friendly so that we're a place where, just like in movies and television, great game makers want to actually build content for us.
So why did you also choose to make that big investment in internal development as opposed to other Hollywood companies that are doing so much licensing?
Well, we viewed the prospects that the biggest franchises are getting bigger and that those were being managed by internal teams. As we look around to our industry peer set, the biggest games, the most admired games, the games that get played the most are being built and managed by these internal teams. So we thought that that was a very important step. Now we had to learn how to manage internal teams, be effective at it, invest in it appropriately, give them the tools, the creative, the inspiration, and the access to capital to be able to be successful. But I think we got that balance right.
So in 2015, you had this huge year with releases that included Batman, Arkham Knight, Mortal Kombat X, Dying Light, Lego Jurassic World, Lego Dimensions, and Mad Max. And in 2016, you've had a few more with Lego's Marvel Avengers and Lego Dimensions add-on content. Are you guys reloading?
Well, certainly it's a little bit of a different year for us. We're also just releasing today under licensed a game with Telltale, a Batman series game. So we actually still do deploy licensing and co-publishing as well as self-publishing. And we're excited that next year we'll be launching core games again. We've announced Injustice 2 at E3. So it's a little bit of a different year for us, but we see a balance of both our great Lego franchise and series and multiple games as well as core games coming.
So you've also got this internal strategy that's called digitally powered. Can you fill us in on it?
Yeah, I think the background and context is that many years ago we stopped really measuring only sort of units sold and really thought much more about time spent and time played and the amount of engagement. So we started thinking about all those drivers and all those elements that sort of led to the highest engagement in games. So we use this language internally of digitally powered to really be broad and encompassing, whether it's live updates like we're doing with our mobile portfolio, as well as our console portfolio, giving the players more and more content to keep them excited, engaged, using tournaments and esports as a way not only to have players but also viewers engaged in the game. So we look at all of these comprehensively to try to really drive what we think is the most important metric, which is time played.
So what's some examples of that within Warner Brothers? I imagine that in the industry at large, the FIFA Ultimate Game revenues, which are more than $1 billion in revenue a year for EA, that's a good example.
Yeah, that's a great example. Anything with $1 billion in front of it's a great example. I think for us, maybe a comparison, you sort of look, we're the proud owners of Mortal Kombat. Ed Boon, the original creator of that franchise, is still working for us 24 years later. Mortal Kombat 9 was released in 2011, and then last year we released Mortal Kombat 10. In the course of trying to build these digitally powered aspects that we've talked about, we more than tripled the user base. We had a mobile version of the game that was launched that sort of adds new players. We had a tournament series that we put around it with over 25,000 people playing the tournament, but 24 million people watching and viewing. We drove much more live content updates with new characters that we keep adding so that those super fans and people that were engaging at the highest level had new content. We cautiously added consumables to the mix into the game so that there were new ways to sort of monetize also.
So you have all these internal studios. How do they adopt this digitally powered strategy across all those different parts there? And does it take a lot of additional manpower and budget to do this?
It certainly takes investment, but I think what's been much more critical is making sure that it's creatively and organically built into the games. So this is not a mandate from headquarters that we say, go make a game a different way. It's just not how we've been successful. So it's been much more about educating about what the platforms will permit and allow, and what other gamers are doing and how they're getting engaged. All of our games now are instrumented so we can see what content's being consumed the most. And it really goes back into the game development process to find those things that will feed that behavior and that engagement more. So it hasn't really been a mandate that's sort of top down. Instead, it has to really be something embraced by our game makers.
So also have to be careful about how you implement some of these new things, microtransactions. The gamers may or may not like it, especially the core ones, I guess.
Absolutely, and that's why I even commented that we cautiously are introducing these elements because already on console, it's different on mobile, but on console, $60, a typical price point's already a lot of investment for these gamers. So doing anything that they feel like is trying to monetize beyond that point that they're not really deeply engaged in, you have to be very careful with. So we monitor that very carefully with all of our franchise, and we try to do it through the lens of where is the gamer appetite to consume more, either in time spent or sometimes new content that's paid for.
So I guess there's always some worry that the core of the game industry is like a center that's not holding, I guess. And some people said that about E3 as well. So what was your feeling about how E3 turned out, given all the sort of turmoil around it this year?
Yeah, well, a couple observations. As an industry, I think one of the great things is that unlike the toy industry or the consumer electronics industry, the members of the ESA, Warner Brothers is one of those members, we actually own our own show. So we have the ability to make it the show that we want it to be. And through the observation of Warner Brothers, we had a fantastic show this year. We had very high attendance. There's a lot of critical press that comes. We've added prosumers to have a gamer aspect to it, and so the audience is also there. But there were some obvious absentees this past year. So as an industry, I sit on the board of the ESA, we're asking ourselves, what does it take to have the broadest participation, the highest engagement? Because I think overall, the industry is better that we have this show.
Yeah, it almost seems like for a company that owns properties like Batman, something like Comic-Con might be the place where you would find the people you want to find. I guess the influencers or the cosplayers even.
Right. Well, and I think we have to think about both, and we've put more consumers into the show over the last couple of years as the ESA. We're still not all the way to the fandom of a Comic-Con. We as a company, Warner Brothers, actually participates broadly in Comic-Con. So we were there this 2 weeks ago and had panels and discussions and Injustice and Lego Dimensions. So we can participate in that. But I think it's going to be still an event where critical press wants to be there, announcements are made, the announcement platform is bigger than any of the events that have been mentioned. So we're trying to find a way to keep that announcing power of E3 where it has been in the past, and also something where all the biggest game companies want to participate.
So our theme is the platform awakens, and how are you feeling about the current platforms, but also how are you feeling about AR and VR?
Yeah, I think on the console side, all of the platforms have new development that's coming. I think one maybe today, right, or this week. So we're thrilled when the marketplaces and the power and the computing power and of these platforms get stronger. Also, the penetration of mobile phones has already been commented on today, continue to increase. The things that you can do with them, like location-based, like having a camera, like having connectivity, are great for game making. We have been involved in AR and VR. Once again, we use the same approach as our other games, where we provided the tools to our studios. We saw where there was curiosity and interest to try to do something. In the case of Arkham from our Rocksteady studio, they really wanted to try that dream of actually you being the Batman. So that was the genesis for the creation of the Arkham Batman VR experience, which we're going to be releasing in October. But we don't look at it as a one-off. We really wanted to attach it to that great franchise of Arkham and say, for those people and love that, if the studio wants to go and explore that area, we allow them and encourage them to do that.
How's the Toys to Life business, especially in light of Disney's exit with Infinity?
Yeah, we entered Toys to Life last year. We have a partner, Lego, the largest toy company in the world, and also TT Games that makes amazing interactive content. So those two, we thought we had all the capability to enter the market in a way that was meaningful, even though we weren't first. And we were happy with we were last year. The market, as you mentioned, has been one a little bit in transition and flux. But we have a great lineup this year with new content, new game features, and all the investments that gamers have made so far in their starter kit they can keep adding to with new content.
And you're expanding the Lego franchise into the digital space. Can you tell us more about Lego Worlds as well?
Sure. The Lego game series from TT, has been remarkably successful over time. I think more than 160 million units sold. With our point of view of engagement and time spent and being where the gamers are, we really wanted to push more deeply into the digital space. So about over a year ago, we started developing Lego Worlds. It's in early access today in a beta form, and we keep adding to it. We announced a multiplayer at E3, so we've added multiplayer to that. And we're going to keep adding all the elements that make you the great builder and fulfilling that dream of building digitally like you can physically with Legos.
We got 2 seconds for
3,
one question.
2,
Does
1,
anybody-
1.
If we
question.
want to take a mic out there, we can take it. If not, okay. I think we better get off the stage then. But very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.